We are here to talk about the possibility of the Chicago Bears selecting the next big talent at Khalil Mack's position in the 2025 draft. The player we are analyzing is quite interesting, so let's dive in. When we talk about the next Khalil Mack, we are dealing with significant expectations. This is an athlete with a potential path toward the Hall of Fame. I'm not saying this player will follow an identical trajectory to Khalil Mack, but I emphasize that his history, test results, and college production show striking similarities to what Mack displayed, including the metrics Mack had when he left the University of Buffalo. The athlete in question is Mike Green from Marshall University. It is true that there are some off-field issues to consider regarding Mike Green, and we will address those as well, but much like Khalil Mack, he also played at a smaller institution and had a very productive college career. He had a standout season in 2024 with extraordinary numbers, and as mentioned, his metrics and test results are comparable to Khalil Mack's. We will discuss the off-field concerns, which are relevant, but I see him as the second best pass rusher in this draft. Personally, I prefer him over other players, although there's another name that stands out as the top choice. In my analysis, this athlete is the second best pass rusher in the 2025 draft. The production he showed last year at Marshall was truly impressive. When you have such a dominant talent in a smaller conference, two questions usually arise: the level of competition, which we will discuss shortly, and the fact that every team he faced focused its efforts on him. How do you stop Mike Green? How do you handle this athlete? Double and even triple teams, along with help from tight ends and running backs, proved to be ineffective. He was a true force for Marshall, which is reflected in the exceptional pro football focus evaluations, with an overall score of 92. All the teams he faced in that conference tried to figure out how to stop Mike Green, using strategies like double and even triple teams, but no one could really stop him. He stood out as an extremely dominant player for Marshall. Pro football focus evaluations confirm this dominance, with an impressive overall score of 92, along with a rating of 91 in pass rush and 90 in run defense. His pass rush success rate is 22.2%, meaning that in 1 out of every 5 snaps, he beats his blocker. This is a very high number. His stop rate against the run, which is near 10%, is also remarkable, considering the average is around 5. He had 2 sacks against Virginia Tech and registered several pressures, about 7 or 8. He also had a sack against Ohio State, which had several offensive linemen who now play in the NFL. Additionally, he stood out at the Senior Bowl, competing against athletes projected to be first-round draft picks. He was so dominant that after 2 days of activities, he decided to withdraw at his agent's request to avoid injury. Playing every week at Marshall is not the same as facing Ohio State, but in the 2 standout games against Virginia Tech and Ohio State, he truly excelled. During the Senior Bowl, competing against players from the SEC, Big Ten, and ACC conferences, he proved to be one of the best on the field that week. While there are challenges in transitioning from a smaller school to the NFL, he always exceeded expectations when given the chance to face high-level competition, standing out as one of the best. I'm curious to know what you think. After another player that many consider the best pass rusher in the class, who is your favorite at the position, regardless of scheme fit? Let's discuss that too, especially when it comes to Mike Green and how he might fit into a coach's defense. I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. I'd also like to mention some observations made on social media. A former quarterback made an interesting comment while reviewing Mike Green's videos, stating that it reminded him of Khalil Mack, emphasizing the measurements, statistics, and physical build. I'd like to highlight an interesting point made by a former quarterback from a well-known team. He mentioned that while analyzing the videos of a particular prospect, he was reminded of a notable defensive player. This comparison was based on the measurements, statistics, and overall physical build. He noted that the lowest expectation for this prospect is associated with a specific team, a sentiment that seems to be widely divided depending on how teams evaluate off-field aspects, which will be discussed shortly. This team holds the 15th pick in the draft, and many believe this prospect is a good option within this class, with most opinions placing him among the top 15 talents available. The team runs an efficient defensive scheme, which would likely suit him well. Additionally, Impressive test results for this prospect were highlighted, and he achieved a remarkable time in one of the most relevant evaluations in the history of this testing event. Looking at the names mentioned in a previous discussion, it's hard to find weak players in the listed categories. Standout athletes are among the nominees. If this is the reference for what this prospect can offer, it's crucial to note that while test results do not guarantee success, exceptional performances in evaluations tend to translate into strong performances in professional games. Furthermore, this prospect shows effective techniques for applying pressure to the quarterback, boasting one of the most impressive spin moves I remember, as well as demonstrating good crossover movement. Standing at about 6'3" and weighing around 250 pounds, he plays with considerable strength. In terms of his performance rankings, he shows solid skills as a defender, demonstrating that he has the power to stop the run. Comparing him to the previously mentioned player, who also stood out at his university, we can see similarities in their height and weight measurements. He participated in activities during his testing day and was recorded with a weight that may have slightly improved his results. Both athletes have similar physical proportions, with the prospect holding a slight advantage in one of the evaluations, while the other had a slight edge in another. However, both were in the 90th percentile or higher in those tests. They share similar backgrounds, coming from smaller institutions and facing less challenging competition before entering the league, with one quickly becoming a standout player and the other also showing significant potential. Although there is a slight advantage in favor of the previously mentioned player, both stand out in the 90th percentile or higher in the evaluations. They share a history that reflects a similar path, coming from smaller schools and facing lesser opponents before entering the league. In the case of the first player, he stood out from the beginning, and I believe the prospect analyzed has the potential to reach a similar level. Soon, we will discuss whether he fits into a specific coach's defense, along with the off-field concerns that teams will need to consider. Regarding Mike Green's on-field performance, I mentioned that although his height is a bit below expectations, he stands out as an effective defender against the run. He really protects the edges and combines his strength with agility. As a pass rusher, he is quite assertive and demonstrated good speed. I observed the variety of moves he uses to apply pressure on the quarterback, including two different techniques, a cross chop and a spin move. He also manages to beat opponents with his strength, though applying that power consistently as a pass rusher in the league may present challenges. A clear example of this was a play at the Senior Bowl, where he beat Josh Connolly, showcasing his abilities against high-level opponents. The question then arises about his fit in a scheme, which is a pertinent consideration. Historically, those who coordinate this scheme have shown a preference for players with larger, longer, and more robust builds. While I believe Green has enough strength, he doesn't exactly match the height and arm length typically desired. He is 6'4" with 32-inch arms, while athletes with arms measuring between 33 and 34 inches are often more valued. This is a significant discrepancy when compared to other players with 33-inch and a quarter arms. Green's arm length is in the 9th percentile among pass rushers, which is indeed below the ideal. Even so, I don't consider this aspect as crucial for a pass rusher as it might be for other positions on the field. One of the factors that makes him unique is the size of his arms. One athlete measures 33¼ inches, while another has 32 inches, placing him in the 9th percentile among quarterback pressure players. This measurement is actually shorter than ideal, though it is not determinative, especially considering the relevance varies by position, such as the difference between a pass rusher and an offensive blocker. However, this data is important, and coaches who use certain schemes typically take this into account. I confess that, purely in terms of scheme, it would be more advantageous for him to play in a 3-4 system rather than a 4-3. I remember back in 2016 when a team chose a bigger, stronger edge player because they thought he would fit better in the configuration. One of those athletes is headed to the Hall of Fame, while the other likely doesn't remain in optimal shape. Sometimes, it's necessary to watch and reflect on whether the player really stands out. When analyzing Mike Green and others, I conclude that Mike Green is a far superior athlete. It's true that if the other two players grow in size and wingspan, particularly in a 4-3 scheme, their potential in that context might be elevated. However, there is much data to suggest that players with low production and success rates in pressuring the quarterback typically do not become elite players in that role. This doesn't mean they can't be good athletes, but in the case of one of them, the trajectory suggests it's likely he will only become a decent player and a good run defender. Mike Green has the potential to become an exceptional pass rusher and a good run defender, as the data supports this idea. That doesn't guarantee it will materialize, as the draft always carries uncertainties, but I would choose the athlete who has already shown production. In the past, a team used to get lost in physical measurements. The question is, does the athlete have potential or not? This player has proven that he is ready to play, without a doubt. Stay tuned for more off-season coverage with various videos every day. The draft is rapidly approaching, and we will continue producing relevant content on this topic. Now, we need to address a sensitive subject. An athlete faced sexual harassment accusations on 2 occasions, not just one. The coverage is daily, with multiple videos available. You'll find content here. The draft is approaching, so we will continue offering information on this. Now, we need to discuss an important issue. This athlete faced accusations of sexual harassment in 2 separate incidents, and this is a significant concern. I cannot support such behavior. It is unacceptable. To his credit, he addressed the issue openly at an important event. Additionally, one of the accusations dates back to high school, and the other was during college, which doesn't create a good impression, as he dealt with allegations at different times in his life. This is, without a doubt, a potentially serious issue. If you feel uncomfortable with the situation and cannot get satisfactory answers from the involved teams, who curiously didn't file charges, it may be necessary to move on, especially in the first round. Here is what he said during the event. To his credit, he tackled the issue directly, which is rare, as many advisors usually discourage discussing such matters. He said there are accusations, but he has never been questioned, presumably referring to authorities. No one ever asked me what happened before I left the state. It was just the accusation that led to my exit. Whether true or not, who can say? That type of investigation is something teams should do during this process. His market value has risen, which should tell you everything you need to know. I've been honest. I have no concerns and don't hesitate to discuss this with teams because I know who I am and I know the truth. Now, if you're a part of one of these teams, it's crucial not to rely solely on the player's word. The depth of the investigations you can conduct is vital. If you truly value the athlete, you must do thorough research. This means talking to teammates, coaches, people he grew up with, and professors. This is a player who, if selected, could become the face of the franchise. You can't take that risk if there are any lingering doubts. Engaging with coaches and speaking with those who knew him in his formative years, including educators, is absolutely critical. This athlete, within the context of a team, has the potential to become a cornerstone of the franchise, whether selected at the 10th pick or through a trade-up. However, this decision cannot be made if there are still lingering doubts. The certainty of obtaining full transparency in this situation is uncertain, as it is often based on rumors. As far as I know, there has never been an incident resulting in formal charges. There are only allegations. It is essential to remember the principle of the presumption of innocence until proven guilty, but public opinion weighs heavily in 2025. The team that chooses to select him will likely face scrutiny due to these allegations. Under Ryan Poles' leadership, the team prioritizes character, and the only recently acquired player with a questionable reputation was Nate Davis. Rumors about his work ethic turn out to be true. Therefore, if the decision is to select this athlete, it is assumed that thorough research has been conducted. It's unlikely that Ryan Poles would have considered Mike Green if there were any concerns regarding character. Teams will certainly investigate this matter thoroughly, as they should. It's crucial to question Mike Green rigorously and challenge him on these points. Paying attention to his body language is relevant. Does he maintain eye contact when discussing these questions? While you aren't a detective, body language is believed to play a key role when discussing sensitive topics. He has shown that he is comfortable talking about these matters with teams and address them for several minutes at the combine, which is commendable. However, each draft meeting will bring this issue up, and it's likely he will be pressed on it, which is understandable. He needs to confront these concerns, even if he sees it as a waste of time, especially if he believes he did nothing wrong. This is the reality of the sport. These accusations require a response, creating a difficult situation. There is a level of respect for the player, but the truth is no one was present during the event in question, and it's assumed no one in the audience was either. In the end, it's up to the teams and Mike Green to prove that these concerns are unfounded and will not present a problem in the future. Would Mike Green's selection at the 10th pick be a possibility? If yes, it indicates a favorable view. If not, it suggests the opposite. In terms of ability, it is truly believed he is the second best pass rusher available in this draft. This belief remains strong. However, discussing off-field issues is not feasible due to the lack of complete information, which is for the teams to assess. Focusing solely on his abilities as a player, he is viewed as a prospect on the verge of the top 10 in this draft. The assessment that Atlanta, with the 15th pick, represents the lowest point for him, based purely on talent, is widely shared. Now, when considering whether he fits the typical Dennis Allen prototype, there's a divergence, yet he is still recognized as an exceptional player. Teams sometimes focus on the wrong criteria. The critical issues should revolve around his on-field abilities. Can he pressure the quarterback? Can he stop the run? He has the skills to excel in all these areas. If he overcomes the off-field concerns, selecting Mike Green at the 10th pick, or even in a slight trade down, could be a solid decision. This discussion about the team will continue as the decision about Mike Green approaches. If there is any hesitation about the sexual harassment allegations, choosing not to select the player becomes a necessary step. It will be interesting to see how this situation unfolds because he is, in fact, a talented athlete. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In a move that has rocked the NFL world, rumors have emerged that Caleb Williams, the highly anticipated first overall pick of the 2024 NFL Draft, is refusing to play alongside his Chicago Bears teammate, DJ Moore. The tension between the rookie quarterback and the veteran wide receiver has become one of the most talked about stories in Chicago, with fans and analysts alike wondering what could have sparked this unusual decision. While the Bears are hopeful for a bright future with their dynamic duo, this controversy could derail the team's chances of building chemistry on offense. Williams, who made an impressive debut season with the Bears, set multiple rookie records and showcased his remarkable skills under pressure, including leading a game-winning drive in the season finale. However, his relationship with Moore has been notably strained. Despite Moore's record-breaking performances, including his impressive 230-yard, 3-touchdown game earlier this season, rumors suggest that Williams has expressed reluctance to play with the talented receiver. Sources close to the team hint at a clash of egos, with Williams preferring a more tailored offensive strategy that doesn't align with Moore's style. This revelation has left Bears management scrambling for answers. The potential rift between their two biggest stars could have disastrous implications for the team's future. With Williams already under immense pressure as a first overall pick, his refusal to mesh with Moore adds another layer of complexity to the Bears' already tumultuous season. The front office is reportedly exploring several options to mend this relationship or even trade Moore if the situation worsens. The possibility of reshuffling the Bears' offensive lineup has fans on edge, as they fear the loss of two key players could set the team back for years. Moore, who joined the Bears after a high-profile trade from the Carolina Panthers, has proven to be one of the league's top receivers. His 1,364 receiving yards and career-high 8 touchdowns in 2024 speak volumes about his abilities. With a $110 million contract extension keeping him in Chicago for the foreseeable future, Moore's future seems secure. However, his ongoing clash with Williams could force the Bears to make difficult decisions. If Williams' demands aren't met, the Bears may find themselves in a tough spot, especially with their new franchise quarterback reluctant to work with one of their most reliable playmakers. As the Bears attempt to resolve this explosive situation, the spotlight remains on both Williams and Moore. The outcome of this saga will shape the future of the team and determine whether these two stars can coexist in the long run. For now, all eyes are on the Windy City, as the Bears' next move could either secure their place in the playoff race or spell the beginning of a new era of uncertainty. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.